I want you to see that what's happening in the Middle East between Hamas and Israel is a prophetic picture of what's happening in the realm of the Spirit that's manifesting in the earth right now. This isn't a surprise. You know, we all read, and I've had many of you ask me about Matthew 24, the wars and rumors of wars, and is this the end times? Jesus said the harvest isn't in yet. He said there'll be wars and rumors of wars, but it's not the end. Are we getting closer to the end? Absolutely we are. Absolutely we are. But this battle, this is a prophetic picture, and I'm going to lay it out for you today so that we are clear in our understanding of what's really happening in the Middle East. Okay? So let's start with Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen? How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And that's the first indication that we really can see when it comes to, we're talking about this spiritual battle and the enemy of God trying to exalt himself above the throne of God. And he said in his heart, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be like you. In fact, I'm going to be better than you. In fact, I'm going to dethrone you. Because this is really what we're talking about when we talk about what's happening in the Spirit. We're talking about rulers and principalities. We're talking about thrones and dominions, and thrones that need to be dethroned. Principalities that need to be dethroned. So what we saw there was really what was happening was it was about who's going to rule. Who's going to be in authority. What happens in heaven happens in the earth. And so what happened? As a result of his rebellion, Satan, Lucifer, and a third of his angels there was a war in the heavens. There was war in the heavens, a spiritual battle that took place. And Satan and a third of all of his angels were cast out of heaven. Do you know that's why the prophet said there's more with us than there are with them? Do the math. 1/3 versus 2/3. It's about who is going to rule. If you look in Daniel chapter 10, let's look there for a minute. Verses 11 through 13. And he said unto me, Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you, and stand upright. For unto you am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set your heart to understand and chasten yourself before God, your words were heard. Where was he doing that from? Was he praying in heaven? No, he was praying in the earth. So in the realm of the earth, in the earth realm, Daniel was praying and he was humbling himself before God. And the angel of heaven came and said, I am come for your words. It's so important that we understand that in this war that we are in, that the declarations that we make, that God hears those declarations and He comes for our words. And so, let me ask you a question. In your prayer and in your declaration, are you summoning the kingdom of God or are you summoning the prince of darkness? But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, what's Persia today? Iran. Withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the archangels of God, chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. So Daniel is praying, and his prayer is not being answered because there's this battle in the heavens. There's a war over words. There's a war over who's going to rule. There's a war over revelation that God wanted to give to Daniel. And in order for him to get that revelation, Michael the archangel and Gabriel had to come and they had to fight off. It says clearly Satan and his armies in the realm of the spirit. In that place, I've taught you about the place of the third heaven. And I've taught you about the earth. And there's a place in between where these wars take place. In the spirit. I know we're getting a little deep, a little heavy today, but you need to be clear. There was war in the heavenlies. And what we see from reading Daniel is that things that happen in the spirit, the spirit realm directly influences and impacts our natural realm. Do you hear me? The spirit realm directly impacts and influences our natural realm. So sometimes when we're here and we're wondering, why aren't my prayers being answered? Why am I still sick? Well, sometimes there's things that it's on you more than it is on the enemy. But sometimes it's the enemy trying to hinder and prevent the thing that you are decreeing and declaring from becoming a reality in the earth. So there is this spiritual influence that's impacting your earthly prayer. It's about influence and it's about rule. Don't make a mistake about that. So if we understand the principles, we have to look at it and say, to us, what does that mean? Well, that means if it's about ruling and it's about power, then we have to say, and when we look at what's happening in our nation today, we have to say, who's ruling? Who's in control? Who's in control of America? Who's in control of New York State? Who's in control of Monroe County? Who's in control of Clarkson and Brockport? Who's in control of the territory that God has assigned to us for us to advance His kingdom in the earth realm? This war is a prophetic picture of good versus evil. You understand that? So, in the event that you have not yet heard this, the actual definition of the word Hamas is violence. That's the actual definition. Go look it up. In your Hebrew dictionary, it's number 2555. I've studied it. It means violent, violence, cruelty, damage. It means to be wronged. It means oppressor, and it means unrighteousness. Hamas is living up to their name. But understand, this is what we need to make sure we understand. Hamas as a group of people are being influenced, ruled by princes of darkness. It's a spiritual war that's manifesting physically. And I will tell you in a little bit what it's about. We see, if you watch the news at all regarding this war and what's happening in Israel, we have seen and heard about families that are being slaughtered. We have seen and heard about babies being killed. Same is true here, folks. Don't be fooled. And we also see that those who Hamas doesn't kill, that they take them as prisoners of war. Do you see the spiritual battle? Speak liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison door to them that are bound. See, they're not just captives of Hamas, they're captives of a spiritual war. They're a harvest that hasn't been reaped yet. You're tracking with me this morning, right? And part of what they're doing is they've taken these prisoners of war as an attempt to manipulate and to negotiate with Israel, that Israel would not continue their incursion into Palestinian territory, into Gaza. I don't know if you saw in the news, there was a news broadcast the other day that said that Israel was negotiating with Hamas to release 100 hostages. Can I tell you something? There's absolutely no negotiating with the enemy. You are deceiving yourself if you believe for 1 second you can negotiate with the devil. It just doesn't work. And yet, we've all tried. We have all tried. So, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, even whether you believe it or not, today's church is in a war season. There's no doubting it. It's unequivocal. And we will remain at war until we gain our rightful inheritance. That may be right up until the day that the trumpet sounds and Jesus returns.